From the sports bars to the stands, we are the voice of the fans. You are now plugged into your sports mixtape. This is the Section 357 show, where we always have the best seats in the house. We are your mobile quarterbacks, Big Shot Ron, Master D, and myself, Jay Navajo. Fellas, how y'all doing?
Doing fantastic as always. You know how we do. We're transitioning now that the Super Bowl is over.
Not only are we moving into the next phase of sports calendar, this is a special month for us here at the Section 357 show. For those of you who have been with us, you know we are the voice of not only the fan, but the voice of the independent. And we're kicking off Support Your Own Month. We're going to have a bevy of independent artists from the music world to the sports talk world, and today from the film world. Without any further ado, I'm going to kick it over to my punt returner, kick returner, somewhere between Smyrna and Stone Mountain, Jay Nav. Jay Nav, what's going on with you? And then go ahead and introduce the people who we got on the line with us today.
Fellas, as usual, I am feeling good, feeling great. Always happy to talk to our fans and talk with you all about sports and society. We always try to bring you something different here on this show, whether it's the music, whether it's the conversation, and even when it comes to our guests. So at this time, we like to bring on, in the spirit of supporting your own, two of our favorites from the Hollywood scene, independent filmmakers, Trey Murphy, Kima Charles. Welcome to the Section 357 show. How are y'all doing?
Doing good. How are you guys doing?
Hey, guys, I'm just once again happy to be a part of this amazing process that you guys have put together. So, yeah, man, let's get this thing rolling.
Well, Trey, you definitely are not a stranger to the show. You've been on before as a guest host, so we're always happy to have you back in the saddle. Let's kick this off. Tell us, first off, what do you all have going on right now at this very moment? What's the vibe out there in La La Land? And just give us a snapshot of what your lives are like right now.
Well, actually, I've taken a break from production in right now to concentrate on our newest endeavor, which is a nonprofit that we're doing. It still ties in with our independent and filmmakers, but we want to bring it to the youth of our community so that we can get them to be the next generation of independent filmmakers.
Yeah, to chime on what Kima is saying, Kima is like a mad scientist of production. She comes up with these amazing ideas to help keep our motivation towards film going, and this new endeavor that we're embarking upon is just really, really exciting. Instead of us focusing on trying to bring one specific product out to the scene, she switched it up and wants everybody to be a part of the process to get a better understanding. And with this project, we're hoping to reach people with this beautiful art form of filmmaking that may not necessarily have had the opportunity to do it on their own.
Now, you talk about filmmaking real quick, and I want to let Big Shot Ron and Master D jump in, but before we get out of here, and you mentioned film, I do want to get your quick favorites. I know this is Oscar season, award season, and all of the nominees have been announced. Give us your gut favorite. If there's a movie, whether it's a nominee or just something that we all should be paying attention to, give our fans one movie each, a suggestion that we should check out going forward from this past season.
All right. Well, as a fan of just movies in general, man, I pretty much watched all of the Oscar nominations for Best Picture. So I'm going to just speak on behalf of the Best Picture nods for my movie selection. And the surprise hit for me were two films, and I love them equally. One is Hugo. It's a story about a young kid who lives at a train station who's trying to get a better understanding of who he is, where he comes from, and how he can fix things in his life. The other is The Artist. It's an interesting film because it's a black and white silent movie. And if you're not a lover, just a diehard fan of film, most times when you see a silent movie, you change the station. But they did an amazing thing with focusing on what is the key element of all movies, and that is story. So they took out the sound, they made it black and white, and focused on the one key element, and they did an amazing job and knocked it out the park. I think one of those two movies is going to definitely get the Oscar for Best Picture, and I highly recommend anybody seeing both of them.
I would have to say The Artist, too, because that one I did see. Storylines I'm big on when it comes to films. I've actually had this conversation today with somebody about a movie I didn't want to see, and it's because the storyline didn't interest me. But because of The Artist, I was able to focus on that storyline. I would have to say that one is one, if you haven't checked it out, so check it out.
Let me kick this question to both of you, because we talk about being independent. We know the hustle it is Hollywood. Neither of you are from California. You both came from the South, from the Midwest. Talk about the hustle of being in film in Hollywood. We know everybody wants to be a star. So talk about just the grind and the hustle of really trying to get your name out there, or just to get work and getting on projects, period.
Well, pretty much for us, every day is a hustle. As you said, a lot of people come out to LA because they want to be actors, they want to be this, they want to be that. A lot of them, some people do it for the right reasons, some people do it for the wrong reasons. Some of them don't have a hustling bone in their bodies, and those are the ones that pack up and go home. Those of us that have been in here 10 plus years strong and still are on that line of over getting to the other side and not giving up, that it takes that determination and that passion. And you have to have determination and passion in order to make it in this industry.
Jay-Z has a song called Hollywood, and there's a line in there. It's part of the hook, and it's not even part of the hook. It's the beginning of the song. He says, "Hollywood, it ain't for everyone," and that is the realest thing you can say, because it's so pretty to get caught up in the lights and the fame and all the things that you see on television, but nobody has a real understanding of what it takes to get there. The term overnight success is just one of those things that people say, but it doesn't really hold any truth, because there's no such thing as an overnight success in this town. And if by some chance there is that one lightning strike, 1 in a million person that does happen to find instant success, more than likely it's fleeting and it doesn't last, because you have to have longevity in this biz. You have to be able to deal with rejection on a level that you couldn't possibly understand unless you were out here. You got to have thick skin. You got to have staying power. You got to be smart. I wake up every single morning and I lace my shoes, and it's like, okay, I got to get out and run. I got to get out and get this thing going, because if I don't, no one else will, and nobody else is putting bread on my table but me.
I would certainly want to keep along those lines. My question to you guys is, what is the problem with independent filmmakers? What are the barriers that are keeping them from breaking into the game? Assuming somebody has the will to have that hustle, is it a lack of talent? Is it a lack of knowing the right people? What are those barriers? And secondly, what are you guys doing with Lights, Camera, Discover to help independent filmmakers get over those barriers?
To me, it's pretty much, it's not what you know, it's who you know. It's about the cost. You have to know the right people. When it comes to independent, a lot of the stuff is coming out of your pocket. So sometimes you can't go as far as you want to go because you don't have the resources that you need. But being an independent filmmaker, you also find ways to get around like the smaller things so that you can get to some of the other things. And you don't always have to go A, B, C to get to Z. With Lights, Camera, Discover, we want to help show you how to get to A to Z, and sometimes you might have to skip elemental P, So that's what we're here for.
I think a very large roadblock that a lot of young filmmakers are having now is not getting the content, because the cameras, the gear, the actors are readily available. I think a large problem now that our early filmmakers are running into is distribution. But like I said before, it's a wonderful time to be a filmmaker, because digital distribution is starting to really gain some momentum. Like I said, it's just been about 10 years, and there's already been dramatic changes. So people going through the usual methods of going to film festivals, submitting your film, getting it voted on, and then hopefully somebody thinking your film is quality enough to make money, getting distribution contract, and then getting money that way. Those methods of getting those films out are changing. Don't get me wrong, you still have to go through those methods, but the way you're going through them is a little bit more user friendly. It's you can do it without having to know as many people. This is still an industry that focuses on who you know, but you may not have to know as many of the people in order for your film to get seen. I mean, you can see it daily. You see YouTube hit sensations all over the place. People are turning themselves into stars because they're handling their own distribution. If you have the proper quality of content, the next thing is just getting people to see it. It's easier to do it, but it's still difficult. but it's easier than it has been before. So I think that's one of the biggest problems that these young filmmakers are running into right now. I think another large problem that a lot of early filmmakers are running into right now is oversaturation. Because everything is getting a little bit easier to make with a smaller amount of money, there's a lot more product out there. So, but the good thing with these early filmmakers is that the vast majority of the product out there, even though there's more content, most of it is at a very amateur or even below amateur basic. I just got a camera and I just shot my dog peeing on a tree and it gets crazy hits. So there's not a lot of quality out there. Tons of quantity, tons and tons and tons of quantity, but not a lot of quality. So these young filmmakers are going to you just can't put up anything anymore in order to get lost in the shuffle. You have to make something that catches the eye and do it in a way and figure out a formula so that you can repeat that lightning in a bottle. The goal isn't to be a one-hit wonder. The goal is to have continuous content that's of a high-quality level that people want to see.
You're hanging out with your guys, Big Shot Ron, Master D, and myself, Jay Navajo, with our special guest, Trey Murphy, Kima Charles, from Light Camera Discover, as well as other things. Staying on that subject of Hollywood making movies independently, can we talk about Red Tails for a second? Probably one of the most discussed releases, I guess, in the black community over the past several months because of George Lucas's involvement, as well as this big push to get folks to go see the movie. So can you talk about Red Tails, that process, any thoughts, general feelings about it, and just, talk to our fans about the movie from your perspective?
All right, I love your guys' show. And when it comes to African-American films, I really try to be careful about what I say regarding our films because it's very difficult, A, for them to get the attention that they deserve, and B, all it takes is one bad mess up for us to lose opportunities. But because I love this show, I'm going to go ahead and speak from the heart on Red Tails. Red Tails, to me, was an average movie, and I know that's going to make some people cringe. But for the amount of money that was thrown at it, the quality could have been a lot better. It seemed like it was rushed. The special effects were amazing, but what else would you expect from George Lucas's Industrial Light and Magic? So to me, it was like a beautiful red Ferrari, but it just didn't have an engine inside of it. Now that I've kind of drug Red Tails through the mud a little bit, I do want to say there's an importance to Red Tails, and there's an importance as to why we need to support it. It's very rare that a movie with a budget of this size is given to all black leads. And what Hollywood is looking for, they don't feel that there's money in black actors and in black productions. They don't think that if they put their money behind us that they'll show a return. So it was important to me that everybody went out to go see Red Tails and prove that we can be profitable. And not just in your standard Tyler Perry type film. No disrespect to Tyler Perry, he's got an amazing business sense, but his content to me is very limited. It's a Chitlin Circuit kind of feel, and I feel that we can do more to it. So here's Red Tails, something that's completely different than that. We need a lot of those box office receipts so that big so these big studios can say, hey, you know what, we may not have made a ridiculous amount of profit off of this particular film, but there is money to be found in this particular market, and we want to try and do it again. Because now that we've made money and we can make a profit off of you, we'll allow you to create art in this area with our money, just as long as we get our cut. So that is the importance. And a lot of people, what I've heard people say that all we're doing is giving George Lucas money and all that. And that's true. But honestly, I don't care if we're giving George Lucas money. All I care about is that we have black writers out there getting some attention, black actors that are getting their attention, black directors that are getting their attention. And if I got to give George Lucas, 12 of my dollars to help another brother or another sister get those type of opportunities, then I could care less about fattening his pocket. It's bigger than Red Tails. It's bigger than George Lucas. It's about giving us opportunities so that we can create projects like that again.
So for me to chime a little bit on what Trey was saying about the bigger than George Lucas, that was my main focus. To me, because he didn't have that studio backing like he usually has, to me that was a little on the independent side for me, because it all came from him. And with the people saying, he has it anyways, all you're doing is making it rich, that's fine and dandy, but you were making him rich when you went to see Star Wars, or you were making him rich when you went to see any of his other films. So George Lucas is going to get paid regardless. So us going to see it or not, he's going to get paid. What we were going to see is the African-American story, a positive story about African-Americans, a story written and directed by African-Americans. That's what we were. George Lucas, to me, he fronted the money. Yes, he was the middleman, but that's why the push for Red Tails to me was so important as an independent filmmaker, because it shows that even without the studio backing, it takes a lot of hard work, which is what we do, but it can be done, and we just have to find the ways to make it possible.
Real quick, I'd also like to keep it along those lines, and if you two could point out some other independent successes that you know of from independent filmmakers that have made it big, the paranormal activities of the world that might not be as well known to the populace.
There's an independent movie, a special effects driven independent movie called Skyline that came out last year. It was a special effects company that decided to back their own project, and to me it was amazing because they made a very visual movie at a fraction of the cost. It took a lot of flack because the story was just okay, and people were expecting like these Star Wars type special effects, but you had to realize this was an independent feature, and they're using their own money, and rendering expenses and special effect expenses are astronomical. But to me, it proved that you can still be creative on a visual level with a grassroots budget, and I honestly have never seen anything like that with the amount of money that they spent. Not since, honestly, probably not since like Jaws. Jaws was a movie that was interesting because the shark was originally supposed to be really big and you're supposed to see it, but the shark broke down, and to make a long story short, Spielberg had to change it up and only show bits and pieces of it, so he had to be creative in a brand new way visually. And I haven't seen anything like that on the independent level since then with Skyline. So to me, on the independent, I was very impressed with what they did.
Well, Kima and Trey, I want to get you out of here on this as we kind of wrap up. I would like for you all to definitely reiterate what you're doing with Lights, Camera, and Discover, and just give our fans yet another snapshot of what that's all about, how they can get involved, how they can support, and just how they can stay connected with what you all are doing going forward.
Well, Lights, Camera, Discover, our motto to it is strengthening creative minds to empower communities. What made me start this is in 2010, I was the director for a program that Trey was actually one of the teachers for that we took to Africa. And after spending a month in Nigeria, we saw the impact with what we were teaching them with the filmmaking, what it did to them and in their lives, because we do still keep in contact with some of them. And some of these students, they were from some of the most rebel areas of Nigeria. And for them to come and be around people they wouldn't normally be around and be able to express themselves and not worry about being criticized and things like that, that got us to thinking that we need this at home too, from our hometowns to other small towns, because people have this idea of Hollywood that it really isn't. Hollywood, the idea they have is the idea of Hollywood, but there is so much more realness to it. And so we actually have 3 programs for the summer booked. In the areas that we picked some of the urban areas with people, we picked some of the urban areas with kids who don't really know what they want to do in life. And it's a lot of crime. And I feel if they use their creative juices a lot, they'll keep them on a more positive level to grow their self-esteem, community respect. And that is my focus, and that is what I want to do. I feel like you have anger, okay, take the drama course and use that anger to a scene. If you want to shoot something, don't shoot a gun, shoot a film. That's just how I feel. And that is what our focus is and what we want to show, that our kids are creative. The new next generation are creative. We need to just give them the means to be able to do that.
I want every young, aspiring director that wants to be the next Hollywood star, that wants to make TV shows or YouTube movies, to realize that you don't have to spend a lot of money to achieve this dream. You don't. And if you're interested, you want to become a filmmaker, and you don't have a whole lot of resources, please, please, please come check us out. Check out LCD. We can show you how you can make that dream come true at a very, very small cost. And you too, if you want to be the next Tyler Perry or Steven Spielberg or Spike Lee, you can. And we can point you out in the right direction.
The difference between LCD is if you come to Hollywood and take it, there's so many courses you can take, and it's going to cost you thousands of dollars. It's not going to do that. That's not what we're going to do. What we do is we go to the community to get sponsorships throughout the community, because not everyone has those means, and a lot of us do volunteer our time so that we can teach our passion to the other students. So we are always taking donations because we are a nonprofit. We're not doing this for profit. We're doing this for passion. And so go to lightscameradiscover.org and donate to LCD, and that would actually help us in helping a child discover, or anybody, a student discover their inner creativity.
And there you have it. Kima Charles, Trey Murphy, thank you all for coming on the show. As we do here on the Section 357 show, we support our own, and we encourage you to support your own as well and spread that love throughout all of the independent grinders out there, whether you're in Hollywood, whether you're in the sports talk game. Always try to support your own, and we love doing that here, and glad you all could come on with us. We're taking a quick break, quick pause for the cause, playing a tad bit of music, and then we're coming right back here on the Section 357 show, where we always have the best seats in the house.